Hey everyone, welcome to our new book. It's called Band of Beavers Face Bedtime Fears. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Do you sometimes have trouble when you go to sleep? Bram Beaver does. It makes him upset and weep. He worries his room is full of sleep monsters that sneak, crawl, and creep. He believes they're in his house when he tries to count sheep. At bedtime, he double checks the corners, lifts every toy, and conducts a room sweep. Being on the lookout for sleep monsters is exhausting. He must now take a leap, as it's time for action. All this talky talk is cheap. Bram no longer wants to go to bed, wiping away his tears, so he puts a brave face on, ready to face his fears. He won't have to challenge these monsters alone because of some friendly volunteers. His beaver crew is ready to help this nervous peer. Bree Beaver says, "Let's squash this fear as the beavers cheer. Buckle up, sleep monsters, the band of beavers are coming, do you hear?" Even with support from his friends, Bram sports a nervous smile from ear to ear. Brad Beaver blurts out, "First things first, describe these monsters that you fret. We'll get to the bottom of this problem, I bet." Bram begins. Well, the first monster is named the In-the-Closet. She lurks behind half-open doors, waiting to pounce, as she's a terrible threat. Her snarl and glare makes me break out into a cold sweat. Brad chirps in, don't worry, we'll deal with her when we cross her path and meet up tete-a-tete. Bram responds, but other monsters are even more dangerous. She's not the worst of them yet. Keep going then. List them off one by one, explains Cousin Britt. Bram responds, the next one hides from below and is nicknamed the 3B Boo, which is a weird name, yes, I admit. It stands for beneath the bed Bigfoot, and he appears only when the moon's lit. It kicks and it growls under my bed, and just when I least expect it, he startles me, and I'll hide under the covers, close my eyes, grin, and bear it. Britt chirps in, but you don't go run and scream, Bran. This shows true grit. That's a bold beaver move, no matter how you slice it. But none of you have these fears. I'm not brave at all. My bedtime is a disaster. The first monsters are slow, but the next one moves at a super speed and is much faster. It zips around in the darkness, much like lightning bolts shot from a blaster. I've only caught a glimpse of it. I even tried to set up traps to catch her, but no luck. All I know is when it's dark, beware, for somewhere lurks the Dark Master. Bo Beaver chirps in, 3 monsters down, who's next? You're doing great, take it slow. So Bram continues. This beast frustrates me and is an all-time scaring pro. He strikes when I'm snug as a rug, ready to doze off and enter my sleepy time flow. It's called the Prickly Armadillo Pillow. It starts slow, then it grows and grows. It pokes and annoys and strikes all in a row. I end up unable to fall asleep. I'm nervous, anxious, and so worried, so it's a horrible feeling, Bo. Bo calmly says, we will beat these things, I promise. This you need to know. Bedtime battles night after night is hard and makes me feel like I'm stuck in a blur. I want to go to bed to be easy. This I'd prefer. These boogie-woogie thingies scare me like a whopper. I toss and turn until I'm frightened by, of course, the flopper. This tricky thing flips you all around, bouncing up and down like an angry grasshopper. And I can't figure out how to squash and stop this sleepless showstopper. As the nights drag on, weird sounds and noises rumble, bumble, and sneak. I look to the left, to the right, but never find the root of these squeaks. I try to convince myself that I'm not so weak, but it always goes from bad to worse as it gets darker and bleak. Because out of nowhere will appear these freaky deaky things called the Creek Freaks. They gargle and gurgle and cause quite a racket, as these strange noises continue my endless sleepless night streak. I shake under my covers until I make a stand and decide this is the last straw. I think of Grandpa Beaver. He says, Bram, it's not against the law to have a flaw. We're only as brave as we allow ourselves to be. You can do this. Tighten up your jaw. And then I leap out of bed heroically and yell like a fearless eagle, caw, caw. And I falsely believe I've scared the monsters away. But this is the wrong conclusion to draw, as the next creature always tricks me and leaves me in a terrified, frozen awe. It attacks when I'm alone and is known as the eerie Enola. The beavers are peeved. These beasts seem to enjoy stopping Bram from having sweet dreams, as his sleep problem has chipped away at their buddy's self-esteem. But even when Bram does manage to easily fall asleep, there's a sneaky fiend that strikes like a laser beam. The deadly, doodly dream wakes him from his slumber and makes Bram scream. It in turn creates an unhappy, lonely beaver who sits disturbed by the light of the moonbeam. Bram sheepishly adds, the last monster I face is the leader of this terrifying nighttime show. It's a shape-shifting creature with piercing greenish eyes that light up and glow. The spider... I cringe when I say its name. The spider shadow. Everywhere I turn, shady, shadowy forms creep and slink and slither towards me, spookily slow. Some with big teeth, pointy claws, or gnarly knuckles coming at me like waves, blow after blow. I end up running to Mom and Dad's room because bedtime feels like I'm in a scary movie right in the front row. Bram sighs and takes a deep breath and reflects on what he said. No longer willing to accept to live in fear as he heads off to bed, he's now ready to face his fears and all that he dreads. Right then and there, they hatch up a plan, codenamed Great Beaver Bedtime Ahead. It's decided Bram must see these monsters as unusual and in a different light instead, as the best way to tackle your fears is to face it head on, head to head. Bree believes this new plan will change it all. Let's go at it one step at a time, because you can't run until you learn to crawl. Bram sketches a picture of each monster, the big and the small. Then they plaster them all over the floor, the ceiling, and wall. Bram confidently faces his fears with help from his friends and believes his worries shall fall. Brad adds, these beasties will scare you no more because you are in charge of them all. Let's double down on your bravery and keep your eyes on the ball. The beavers band together and hunker down for the night, surrounded by pictures of friendly, fun-loving monsters, chock full of colors and very bright. They fall asleep, and before they know it appears the daylight, and Bram awakes without having had a bad dream or even a night fright. From now on, I've decided, sleep monsters are simply kind, quirky, and polite. With this boatload of growing courage and his newfound vision in sight, Bram smiles and laughs with delight. He's faced his fears and won, and ready for many great nights. This story idea and concept artwork for Band of Beavers Face Bedtime Fears was created by Jacob and Lucas Holiday and their dad. Photo below, the boys drawing and a picture during the creative process. The illustrator Joannie Bertrand took her cousin's monsters creations as inspiration for the fantastic characters in this book. Jacob and Lucas also then created Bram sketches, which you would see on page 26 and 28. I hope you liked it. This was the new book, Band of Beavers Face Bedtime Fears. Good night.